Kevin De Bruyne went to complain to the ref, and you told him, relax, dog, it's a dogfight out there. And Matt Turner, did this actually happen? How did it go down from your memory?
So, well, first of all, he added an extra dog in that. I didn't say relax, dog. But there was a second dog. There was a dog for sure. And so it just came out of me. Yeah, it just came out of me. I was just like, come on, bro, it's a dog fight out there. And I tried to get him to but I can't even say it with a straight face. It's so bad.
It's Rog, and ahead of the first international break of the new season, I'm here with my patriotic fervour and wild dreams of the United States back on the very home soil where they will contest the 2026 World Cup. And as we charge towards two rumbles of wonder this week, I'm joined by a gent who, I genuinely adore. Fresh off his first Premier League minutes after his epic hero's journey, late blooming his way to the very highest levels of the game. It's a joy to welcome back a gent with the piercing eyes of Nicolas Cage, the singing voice of Pavarotti, and the bloke I'd most want on my side in a dogfight. Fresh off his first Premier League clean sheet, I meant to say. It's Bergen County Buffon, USA and Nottingham Forest #1. It's Mr. Matt Turner.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for having me back, Raj. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
There is so much that is beautiful in your life, and a lot has happened since we last spoke. We will talk about your new job, your new club in 1 minute. But important things first, a second baby on the way, a first daughter, life-changing. I'm so thrilled for you and your partner, Ashley. And you actually did your gender reveal on the field with the United States team after the El Salvador Nations League game back in March. Take us back to that quite surreal moment, Matt. What was that like, so publicly, to kick the baby reveal ball surrounded by your teammates, with the rather too into it PA guy bellowing his commands and finding out in that beautiful moment, it's a girl?
Yeah, I'm a pretty low-key guy in general. So that was pretty out of character. It was the first time Ashley and I had got to go back to the United States in a long time. So, really since June of the previous year. And for Ashley, it had been a long time. So, it was the first time we were going to have all of our family in one place. And I talked to our team admin here and thought, we could maybe try to do something special after the game with the team. And he said, leave it with me, no problem. And leave it with me. So I didn't know what to expect going into it. It wasn't like I specifically planned this WWE style announcement and it to be broadcast all over the world. I wasn't really expecting that at all. So we just had to roll with the punches, and it turned out great.
You thought it was going to be like private, behind maybe in the locker room, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe like a bouquet of flowers and a little bit of pink smoke, and that's that, But it was definitely pretty crazy.
Suddenly you're on the field with like Lallis or something, broadcasting it to the world. But I love that clip because it does show the faces of your teammates in that moment, the closeness of this group, and you're now reunited in St. Louis with the rest of the squad. A moment a bit like the beginning of Mighty Ducks 2, getting the old gang back together. And I lived with the US team ahead of the 2014 World Cup, and I saw with my own eyes what a sanctuary it can be to Premier League players then like Tim Howard and Clint Dempsey, who were like grinding away every week for respect as Americans at the Premier League level, to return to that safe cocoon of the United States teams with their buddies who love them, who always got their back. You could actually physically see when they landed, the moment they arrived at baggage claim, saw each other at the airport, it was like just pressure just off their shoulders and joy kicking in. What's it like for you as you descend from the aeroplane from across the Atlantic, to see your mate, see your country out of the plane window, knowing you're about to reconnect with Christian, Tim Ream, Anthony, and just go and have a laugh together?
Yeah, it's amazing. But what I will say is, the Tim Howards, the Clint Dempseys, they paved the way for guys, like myself to be able to go over there and to have a bit more respect. Like, I don't necessarily, I feel like I've earned respect in my own regard, but it's not as taboo to have Americans playing in the Premier League anymore, thanks to those players. So I think the pressures that I feel are pressures that I bring upon myself, things that I want to achieve and do. So those kind of align with what I want to achieve with the national team in some ways. So a lot of times when I come here, although it's great being back in America, seeing your friends, the camaraderie, the brotherhood, it's like no other. You still have to get to a certain point where you remember your mission, you remember what you're trying to build. And because of our closeness and our culture, it's easy to get into those phases where we have like, okay, these days we're going to focus on our team bonding, I'll say. And these days are the days that we're here to work and we're here to, build the foundation for something spectacular.
So just to project what you're saying, these days we're going to play golf and these days we're going to do the old football.
Exactly. Yes. That's pretty much a direct quote. Yeah.
So these games we have on tap, we got Uzbekistan at City Park, all caps, St. Louis on Saturday night, and then to Allianz Field in St. Paul, Minnesota to take on Oman. What's the focus for these two games? Where do you put them in the overall cycle ahead of your World Cup win in a little less than 3 years?
Yeah, everything matters. Every time the team gets together, you want to improve, you want to get better, and this is the chance for us to play against two potential, World Cup opponents. I think Asia has eight teams qualify for the next World Cup, and I think in their ranking in the region they're like 9 and 10. So there's a good chance a team like Uzbekistan or Oman could end up in the World Cup. So just playing World Cup level opponents and proving to ourselves that we can win these types of games. And then in the future, if you look down the road, the next window we're playing one of the best teams in Europe, in the world, and one of the best teams in Africa, in the world, and
Germany and Ghana.
And for us, we want to prove that we can not just compete, but we can win against those teams. So these games right now here in September are really important for us as stepping stones along the way, and you want to be involved as much as possible.
You have, as we will discuss momentarily, just moved to mighty Nottingham Forest. But so many of you United States players have actually moved clubs over the summer. Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musa to AC Milan. Flo Balogun now with Monaco. Tim Weah joining McKennie, Juventus. Dest to PSV, a trio of players there in Eindhoven now. Brendan Aronson to Union Berlin. And this is the first time that you're all physically together since that world of change. What has the team WhatsApp group chat been like as you all discuss this flurry of summer moves?
Yeah, it's been fun and it's been exciting. I think now guys are seeing, finding situations that better suit them on the personal and playing and professional side. And I think that comes with the success that the national teams had, playing in bigger moments, playing in bigger games, doing well at the World Cup, doing well enough in the league that you were playing in at the time. And so if teams, it's a lot more fluid in Europe. If a team sees a need that they want to fill, they're looking at American players to fill those needs rather than elsewhere. So I think it's a positive. Obviously, we want continuity, we want minutes, we want games, but to see, American players being transferred, in the market, teams valuing them differently, it's been really, really great to see. And I think it paves a pathway, again, like I talked about those guys earlier. This generation then paves a pathway for the guys that are coming through the ranks right now, in MLS academies or in youth academies across Europe.
By the way, can you settle a long-running argument for us on Men in Blazers? There's so many American duos at clubs this season, and Chris Richards told us that you players all lobby each other to join them in the group chat, essentially become quasi-agents. Christian Pulisic swears that he didn't get into Eunice's ear. Where does the truth lie, man? It
lies within there for sure. I mean, there's no way Eunice goes to Milan without talking to Christian. Myself with Ethan and talking to Ethan about Nottingham. You want that familiarity. You want to be able to know sort of like what you're walking into in a lot of ways. So I think it's important to have that, and it's nice to have people around Europe that you can rely on to understand, the culture of where you're going to go, where to live, what places to look at. You know, when I got to Arsenal, I didn't know where to look or what to look for. I was about to have a kid. I was kind of all over the place. Versus going to Nottingham, I was a little bit more, you know, I had somebody that I could rely on there to talk me through, okay, you want to look in this place or that place to live. You don't really want to live over there. This is where the training ground is. And that stuff is all really helpful.
Your massive move, leaving Arsenal after one season for Nottingham Forest in a $12.75 million transfer. And you talked yesterday about how you realised last spring was time to move on from Arsenal, that you weren't going to displace Aaron Ramsdale as a starting goalkeeper. There were fears that your career would stagnate if you stayed on the bench. Can you talk me through how this process happened from your experience? Who initiates it? How does it work? Lay out the timeline, how you lived it from the inside.
Yeah, it's a little funny because the way I did say that the other day, it sounded like I was gung-ho on leaving. I was gung-ho on fighting. You know, I hadn't like given up and been like, oh yeah, the writing's on the wall, that's it. That's not my style. You know me better than that. I was going to come into the following season, or this season now, ready to fight, ready to bring it every day. And I really believed that I could still continue to apply pressure, still continue to battle and fight for games. But, you know, at the end of the season, I had conversations with the front office and coaching staff, and it really seemed like I was a part of what was to come. You know, they said that there's no way you're going on loan or that we're selling you. And so, yeah, it kind of laid to rest there. And my wife and I were ready to continue life in North London, sort of as you were. And in the beginning of the summer, Forest did open talks with Arsenal to buy me, but it was flat out, you know, denied and shut down. And so then again, after that sort of happened, I thought to myself, okay, now for sure I'm staying with Arsenal. And it wasn't until a few weeks later that you know, I got back from Gold Cup. I was back with the team with Arsenal, and then the rumbling started happening again. My phone started lighting up, and I turned on Sky Sports, and of course, there's my face flat across the screen. And I wasn't fully involved in understanding where it was coming from. But when I called my agent, you know, things were further along than I had realized that they were going. And, you know, to be ready to sort of go up to Nottingham whenever it was possible. And that happened after the Community Shield. The next day, I went up to Nottingham. So it's something that I wanted, I pushed for. In the end, when they came back in, I knew that, you know, this was something that I wanted, and it was a good step for my career. And, you know, just an opportunity to play games and prove myself. And, you know, I mentioned in that same interview, I'm not in this game for the money. I'm not here to make so much money. Like, I'm not afraid of work. I've always, what's driven me is to prove myself at the highest level that I can possibly play at. Like, I don't know what that level is. I don't know. Have I reached it? Have I not? Can I keep going? And I'll keep going, and I'll keep pushing myself until someone says, hey, you're in over your head here. And then from there, I'll say, okay, I went as far as I could. And, but I don't think I've found that yet. And I like to think I'm a pretty self-aware person in general.
So what were you looking for exactly, Matt? What were your needs? What were you mulling? What made you hone in on Nottingham Forest?
Well, you know, there's only so many teams in the Premier League, and they were a team that was looking for a goalkeeper. And, you know, there's no guarantees, right? There's no guarantees that you're going to play or that you're going to get this or that, or, you know, if you come here, you'll be the number one, and we're not going to have any competition for you. Like, that's just not how it works in that league. So really, I was just looking for a fresh start, for a fresh perspective on me, for a place that I could go and express myself and be myself and compete the way I like to compete, and just be appreciated in that sense, in what I can offer. Because sometimes I feel like my playing style can be a little bit unique. So it's not like a cookie cutter type of goalkeeping, that's for dang sure.
We all know that you were an Arsenal fan as a kid, with Spurs tweet receipts to prove it. And it was so bloody romantic, I've got to be candid, to see you, Matt Turner, fulfill a fan's dream. And despite starting so late as a goalkeeper, 14 years of age, grind your way right to your dream club. And last time we spoke, Matt, was near the end of last season. You were very open back then. You talked about just how desperate you were to get Premier League minutes. And honestly, my heart broke that you didn't, to be honest, down the stretch when it was clear that Arsenal were going to come in second. How was it emotionally to leave your club, as a fan, in the search for minutes as a professional elite athlete? Is it bittersweet? Is it poignant? Or is it just business?
Yeah, so no, I got to a certain point where I'm not looking at it from a fan's perspective anymore. I have to look out for my career and the longevity of it, and what I just said. I want to push myself and compete at the highest level that I possibly can. And at the end of last season, it was really hard for me because I felt like there were opportunities for me to show that I could compete at that level, and I didn't get them. So I think the writing was on the wall in some ways, but it was hard to leave. It was definitely hard to leave. My family loves North London, still do. The club is just a great club. Again, behind closed doors, you think of Arsenal as this massive club, conglomerate, your personal life doesn't matter, but there's people that have been working at that club for 30 years. It's a really family first atmosphere. And that was, hard for me to leave for sure. And not only that, but the relationship with the fans. I did feel really appreciated by the fans there. And I felt like, I was really loved, and I hope that they all know that every day I gave, my all, whether it was training, whether it was the games I played, whether it was the games I was on the bench. I was always doing the best that I could to try to make the team better, because I've always found that when I put the team first, my personal goals sometimes follow shortly thereafter. So I think I'm fortunate to have landed, in another Premier League club, that's for sure. And I'm so grateful to the people at Forest for taking a chance on me because, I did have a great international year in the last, 12 months, but, on the club side, I hadn't played very much. So, I just want to be able to go to Forest and put that Arsenal chapter, shut it, and give it my absolute all for this club that has so much history and a city that has a great fan base that really care about the players, and that's a good feeling.
I'll chat about Forest in 1 second, but that move from the outside, it did come so bloody quickly. You're on Arsenal's bench during the Community Shield in August 1 week, and then starting for Forest, the first game of the season. The next, that Community Shield, which Arsenal won against Manchester City on penalties, your mate, Aaron Ramsdale, he turned out to be the hero. This beautiful footage following the game. As soon as it's over, he brushes aside hugs, pushes through throngs of people until he finds you, Matt Turner. And the two of you share a huge tender bear hug. What did he say to you in that moment? Did he know you were leaving? That was just like goalkeeping brothers and brethren, but what's your memory?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep the nitty gritty of what was said there between him and I, but we've developed a really close relationship on and off the field over the last 12 months, and he's somebody that I want the best for him, and yeah, he was someone that was definitely aware of what was more than likely coming, and I was so happy for him to be able to, save a penalty in a shootout in a big moment, to make a big save in a big moment. And it's something that over the last few weeks, when I was back with the team, that we'd been talking a lot about, and, going over the penalty homework and, just talking about things and trying to make each other better, really. I'm trying to help him with the way that I prepare things and, just talking through situations. So I think...
What's the most important thing you learned from him, in your own words?
I think the way he just enjoys the game. He goes out there and he has so much fun. He's super, super relaxed. And I think mistakes don't affect him the way you might think. Like the way mistakes affected me was, a lot. I took them a lot harder than he takes them. And I think that that's a huge thing, especially for a goalkeeper his age, to be able to make a mistake and move past it. He's a mentality monster when it comes to that stuff. And I'll miss my relationship with him on the pitch and training with him every day and pushing each other. I definitely will. because it was something that I definitely got a lot of fulfillment out of off the field.
Last one on Ramsdale, because I've got to ask you this, and you know where I'm going. He told an incredible story last season. Aaron was asked who the funniest player on the Arsenal squad is, and after thinking, he said, Matt Turner, because of his Americanisms. And he went on to tell a story about you in a game also against Manchester City, this time in the FA Cup when you were starting. Kevin De Bruyne went to complain to the ref, and you told him, relax, dog, it's a dog fight out there. And Matt Turner, did this actually happen? How did it go down from your memory?
So, well, first of all, he added an extra dog in that. I didn't say relax, dog, but there was a second dog. There was a dog for sure.
Yeah.
It was a physical game. I think we only lost the game 1-0. It was we had some chances to win that one as well, but Holland and Rob Holding, I think, were going at it pretty good, and I think there might have been a head-to-head or an elbow-to-head, and they had a bit of a stoppage. And whenever there's a stoppage, I don't know if you ever noticed at Arsenal, everyone runs over to the bench, and you get the instruction from Mikel, and so that's the rest of the team was over there, and I was sort of jogging past, and I realized that De Bruyne and I think it was Jack Grealish as well were like going up to the referee to complain, and no one's there to be on the other side in the referee's ear, and. And so it just came out of me. Yeah, it just came out of me. I just said, come on, bro, it's a dog fight out there. And I tried to get him to but I can't even say it with a straight face. It's so bad.
Wait, when you said it, was it one of those moments where you're like, oh my God, I just said that to KDB?
No,
did I really just say that to KDB?
What it was?
And we're like, yeah, I said it.
No, it was the face that Grealish and De Bruyne made that made me feel like, ooh, I shouldn't have said that. Like, because they just like, look at me like, what? Like basically, who is this guy? Like so confused with the blank face. They couldn't. It's almost like they couldn't even believe it. I don't even know if they will even remember that. But
I think they probably do. I think they couldn't believe that you only came out with one dog. They were expecting.
Yeah, they were expecting 2 dogs. They were waiting for the second dog for sure.
They know now there was only one dog in that fight.
But mind you, there's no one there. So I totally outed myself to the team. Like afterwards, I we're hanging in the back of the bus, talking about the game a little bit. I'm like, guys, I got to tell you something, and I told them the story, and they're just crushing me. But it was so funny. We always had a good time. It's like me, Aaron, Kieran Tierney, Rob Holding, Ben White. In the back of the bus, Leo Trossard as well is back there, and we always had a really good time on the bus. Talking, chopping it up, talking about the games, or just banter in general. So that was like the circle of trust, but it was broken. It was broken, Fokker. It was broken.
Last time we talked, you talked about quite beautifully, honestly, openly, about how your goal was to play in the Premier League, to get a Premier League minute, I think was your phrasing. That was your dream, your goal. You'd played for Arsenal in the Cups, you'd pushed Ramsdale all the way, but you'd never featured in the league. So there it is, your Nottingham Forest debut. And in an odd twist, well done Premier League writers, it was against your old club, Arsenal. And I kept wondering, what was it like for you, Matt, to earn your first Premier League minutes against them? Because as you walked onto that field, you seemed to be buzzing. You were beaming. What were your emotions like on the inside, in your head, in your heart? Was it extra nerves that it was against them? Was it different? Was it more than the World Cup? Was it just a completely different feeling?
I just felt this amazing calmness, actually. And I am a pretty I get nervous for games for sure. But just the way the fans applauded me, accepted me back onto the pitch, and cheered for me, and said hello. Everyone said hello, and that was really, really a good feeling. So I had this calmness. I felt really relaxed, and I think for me the being back at the Emirates just in general was the way it was supposed to be. It was the way it was supposed to be, and I was happy to play in that game and to feel like I showed my teammates that I was playing against, but also the fans that were in the stands, that I do belong in this league. Even though I didn't get to play for you guys and wear the Arsenal badge when I got to do it, Wearing the Forest shirt was just such an honor for the first time, but I did get to prove to everybody there that I do belong in the Premier League.
God, I'll be honest with you, I was crapping myself, man. I really was for you. I was like, oh my God, he's going to play against Saka, Martinelli, Ødegaard. They all know him from training.
Yeah.
And I was like, this could be really just confidence crushing. But my Lord, you turned it against them. 5 saves, a wondrous dive and fingertips to deny Declan Rice. And when we've talked, you told me that at every level, from high school to college to MLS and so on, I love this, you've learned on the fly, piecing together an education on the job rather than having inbuilt training since childhood because you picked up the sport so late. What surprised you about playing finally in the Premier League so far? Is there anything that you didn't know to expect?
Yeah, it's a bit breathless at times. The players are so good. It's back and forth, and it doesn't really matter who's on the ball. They can make something happen with it, and I think that was the biggest eye opener, was being ready for anything in any moment. But also that there's a certain level of intensity that you need to bring to every game, and if you don't have that, you're going to get found out pretty quickly, in my opinion. So I'd say, the being ready for anything and everything at any moment, number 1A, and 1B is making sure that you've checked that box of intensity as your starting point. And I think that over time I've gotten there. I've found that, I feel that passion. I feel the energy from the crowd and the fans and the expectation, and I love it. I love it. But I think, at the same time in the Premier League, like when you make a mistake, you almost always get found out for it. So it's like this fun chase for perfection as well.
In the game since then, you have unleashed a series of magical saves. There was your first Premier League win against Sheffield United, a narrow, agonising loss to Manchester United. But in that game, you made 7 saves. The one against Anthony, 54th minute, curling trademarkedly towards the far post through traffic. The score then tied 2-2. You tossed your very being, your whole essence of the ball to keep Forest in the game. Do you remember that save? Could you relive it for us?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was weird. It was a weird day. It was classic northern England weather. It was pouring rain when we left the hotel. Then it was sunny during warm-ups, and then it was pouring rain in the first 10 minutes of the first half, and then it was sunny again. I could have worn a hat in the second half. So yeah, it was disappointing, to go 2-0 up, and once they got that first goal and it was 2-1, we knew that we were probably going to face some pressure in the second half. I just want to make a play to help keep my team in the game, and I feel like I couldn't really see the ball. There's like a bunch of bodies in front of me, and Anthony cuts inside, and I sort of like level my depth off and square off, because I know obviously when you watch film of players and stuff that he likes to open up and go to the far post, but in the Premier League, like I said, you can't cheat, you can't anticipate too much, or else they'll go the opposite direction and punish you for it. So it's sort of like the way the bodies were waving. I had to wait because I couldn't see the ball for a long time, but I tried to drop off and give myself enough depth so I could have enough time to react. He did. He shot it. He got it around all 3 players, and I only picked up the ball when it got past Joe Worrell. And I think he was the third of the players there, and the third one of the players there, and I was able to get my little step in and fling my body over there and tip it around the post. So it's a good.
What's that feel like?
Nah, it's a good feeling. I can't lie. It's a really good feeling because especially in an away game, everyone there, they just want to see that. They want to see the net ripple. It's a great feeling to just feel like the air go right out of the stadium. So I like that. I can't lie. I don't say that I love very many things, but that's definitely up there. That's definitely up there.
Oh, Matt Turner loves killing your happiness, opposing home fans.
That's what I tell myself before games. I'm like, dude, you got to be the bad guy again today. That sucks. Like, everybody just wants to see goals. Like, you got to be the bad guy.
Your very first Premier League clean sheet came in the next game, a precious one. unexpectedly somewhat against a moneyed Chelsea team, and you stood tall down the stretch in that second half. Perfectly timed sliding challenge on Nicholas Jackson. Sorry, Nick Jackson, I am for real. A late near post denial of Thiago Silva, and the Forest fans were chanting giddily, USA, USA, USA. Are you aware of that in the moment? Just you doing something that makes thousands of English people celebrate your Americanness. I always wonder whether you can hear it and what emotions go through your body in that moment.
Yeah, you definitely hear it, and it's prideful. You know, you love to feel that acceptance, to feel the crowd cheer for you, and you know, I hope it's not just in the best moments. You know what I mean? Like I'm always gonna. I said this in my first interview with Forrest. I'm always gonna give whatever I can, whatever I have to the badge after the game. I'm gonna leave it all out there every single time. So for them to be able to sort of that small thing that they think is so small means everything to me. It means everything to my family. To feel that acceptance from the people, from the community, to feel that love from the crowd, it's just such a good feeling, you know, and it's euphoric, really. It gives you like the goosebumps just thinking about it. But yeah, in the moment, you know, you hear it, but you don't really think about it. It's more afterwards where you think about it, and then you feel those emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm talking about when it comes to like that intensity and that presence. Like you need to be so focused on everything and on what's happening on the pitch. You sort of block out what else is happening in the crowd. I know my friend Aaron Ramsdale would say the opposite. He likes to like engage with the crowd a little bit, and that's what helps him focus. But you know, that's why I think we got along really well, because we're really opposite when it comes to that. You know, and I like to block it out and just be focused on what's going on the field, and that's just how I've always been. You know, someone will say, "Do you hear that? Did you see that?" And most of the time, I kind of say no, because I really genuinely didn't. I'm really just focused in, I'm locked in, I'm present, and I think you can see that for me at full time. I knew that I did something really well in that game, and you know, although I only made 2 saves, what I did well was I competed, I communicated, I put my teammates in the right positions, and they made some really, really big plays as well, great clearances, and I just felt like I was the ultimate hype man throughout that game. But that's something, you know, especially when you're under siege.
I do want to touch upon this Forest team, because they've been magnificent to watch this season. Up top, Taiwo Awoniyi. He's, I believe, the technical term, an absolute unit. I mean, just his goal scoring is exquisite to witness. What's it like to train against him every day?
It's awesome. T's a great guy. He's a lover. He's like a really nice guy that you can talk to. But when you get there on the pitch, I know that I wouldn't want to be a center back going up against him for 90 minutes. And he's relentless. He just keeps going and going and going. And he puts his body into you every single time. And he doesn't take any plays off. And I think that's sort of like the MO of what, you know, we're building at Forest. You know, you have guys that are working really hard for the manager, for each other, and that's and for the fans, you know, and that's a really, really special thing. And I think that you can see that, you know, we have, I think when we come back, we have a home game, and then we're away at the Etihad. We might have another home game, then maybe it's Anfield, and you know, we've played at the Emirates, Old Trafford, Anfield, the Etihad, Stamford Bridge, and then I think we also go to Selhurst Park. So we've gone through the Premier League ringer in the first 2 months of the season, really, and that just forges fire, you know.
Yeah, this incredible journey. I mean, it does. I love this notion that you're always trying to test yourself to find your ceiling. What's been the change in your own self-identity, your own sense of self, Matt Turner, now that you can call yourself Matt Turner, Premier League goalkeeper?
Not too much, to be honest. I mean, because I'm still a dad of a 14-month-old and soon to be another, you know, I still got to go through. And I always say this, I always joke, and I'm like, I'm the everyman's man. Like, I've lived all the walks of life. I went to high school. I went to university. I worked an office job. I worked physical labor job. I did so many different things, you know, growing up. And, you know, this obviously worked out, and I'm so grateful for it. But you know, I'm still myself. I'm still who I am and who I'll always be, and that's because of where I grew up. That's because of the people that I've surrounded myself with that have been with me, since I was a little kid, really. And so I'm just held to the same standard, and I hold myself to the same standard that I've always held myself to, and that my family and my friends have always held me to. So it's nothing more than just for me, really. Like, it feels good to be able to say that I've played in the Premier League, and something that, a lot of American kids dream of.
God, Matt, that may not have changed your sense of self, but what your sense of everything that is now possible, I've got a feeling it does change. You are a great friend of this show. You know that we adore you. And one of the lessons that we've all learned from you is that you had a coach who taught you to write down all of your goals, the big, the small, the near, the far, to keep a journal, almost a journal of your aspirations, and then keep reviewing them, constantly reassessing. And I love this idea. But update us. Now, as a Premier League goalkeeper, that goal accomplished, the Premier League clean sheet accomplished, what are the current goals in the journal as you look at your near future for Nottingham Forest and the US men's national team? What are you hoping to accomplish?
You're really not gonna like this answer, but right now I'm looking at things day by day, because there's a lot of there's so much going on in my life, between some of my family and stuff being in London, some of my family and stuff being in Nottingham, some of my family and stuff being in New Jersey, some in Maine. My wife is a week from giving birth. I'm here with the national team. So I'm just like taking things day by day. I actually write out what I want to accomplish every day, because that's all I can really focus and control right now, is what I do every day. Making sure I scheduled the movers today. That was ticked off. Making sure, it's just stuff like that, So when I get back from duty, it's making sure and my wife has everything that she needs to and be there for the birth of my daughter. Those are like the big medium-term goals, I'll call them, and the biggest ones on my list, at the top of my list right now, because I'm Matt Turner, family comes first, and I want to make sure that is all squared away. And then after that, you'll just have to have me back on, and I can share the rest of it with you.
God, Mike, I gotta say, I love talking to you. It's impossible to listen to you without feeling your own life affirmed by living through you. You are an inspiration to late bloomers everywhere. You do give me hope that one day I too can pull on that USA jersey. It's never too late. Matt teaches you all, dear listeners, continually experience better and better days. But I will say to you, to your family, to your partner, this incredible time, to your teams, thank you for giving us so much to revel in. As you said on your first show, it wasn't so long ago you were travelling back from youth games with your stinky hands out the window, just trying to dry off your gloves. You bloody inspiration. Those US games again, USA versus Uzbekistan, Saturday, September 9th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time in St. Louis on TNT Universo. USA, Oman, Tuesday, September the 12th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time from Minnesota on TNT Universo. Matt Turner, you beautiful human being. Thank you. Godspeed.
Again, I'll see you again soon, I hope.
Same, mate. Courage.